Salam, can you form that into a question?
Well, the question part of it is I would like to have some reaction from the speakers.
Okay.
To identify the problem as I'm kind of suggesting it, and that we have to involve the American side. This shouldn't be Muslims talking to the American and vice versa. It's together. We have to together recognize where the problem is, what is causing it, and how can we proceed to solve.
So he's inviting you to react. Okay.
I'll react. Although I agree with most of what you have to say, Zaman, but I will have to respectfully disagree that condemning is not going to do anything. I think we should care about Islam's public perception. So, and I think we should stand up and say we condemn this. And yes, this is not gonna solve everything, but this is a step towards solving something. And I agree that without solving political and economic issues, this problem will still exist. But we have to start from somewhere, and we have to be bold. And although I didn't commit those crimes, I'm not condemning it as if I am apologizing for it. But I am condemning it because it is necessary as a Muslim scholar to condemn this. So we should, I think, keep condemning it and do everything possible. I think I actually suggested it in my Twitter account, who follow me, right? And I said we should organize massive demonstrations in New York, in Los Angeles, places like that to condemn this. 10,000, 100,000 people should come together, and then we should raise our voice. I mean, that's going to do something.
Okay, I know that this woman right here would like to ask a question.
Greetings, salam alaikum to all the panelists. My name is Ruth Brody Sharon. I'm the co-chair for the Southern California Parliament of the World's Religions. And I am a documentary filmmaker. Those of you who know me mostly for my film, God and Allah Need to Talk. And I also write for the Interfaith Observer, and I've been a journalist for 30 years. I've been working in this community, interfaith community, for more than 25 years. So here is my dilemma. I know more about terrorism through the media than I know about the beauties of Islam. Jihad, when we I was moderating a panel that you were on several years ago. Jihad told us that after 9/11, he called all the press people together. They issued a fatwa. They spoke very clearly, all the Muslim representatives, that they were...
Just to clarify, fatwa does not mean a death sentence.
No.
Fatwa means a legal ruling.
Right.
Just to clarify. Just wanted to make sure. Because the press headlines might say jihad issued fatwa. So.
Last Saturday in my synagogue, I shared with my community, Rabbi Mordechai Findley, or HaTorah community, that I have access to hundreds of websites and links to articles in which Muslims actively protest, condemn, and do not accept terrorism as part of their religion, okay? I sent out many of those links to my rabbi, who said he would distribute them, and to my community. I've been doing that for 25 years. Now, let me tell you something. We know that the press is interested in sexy stories that have to do with violence. We know that, I don't know, are there any TVs here tonight?
Yes.
Okay, let's see if this goes on television, right? It might be too positive to make it on air. So here's my challenge, and I'm thinking of all the collective brain power in this room, and especially on the panel. Isn't there some way we could come up with a way to organize journalists to come through a training period to tell them what they're missing in the story, to explain to them, right, the values of promoting peace. We know that movies travel around the world. We know that people who are illiterate have access to radios, they listen to information. We know we Can we not, as a collective, figure out how to combat the bad policies, the destructive policies of the media? I was in the People's Climate March in New York in September, one of the highlights of my life. 400,000 people marching to raise awareness. I agree with you. We should also have marches. We should do something so we cannot be ignored. We have to figure out how, even not social media we have, but we have to get to mainstream media and figure out what it is we can do together. Do you have any ideas? I mean, I will help promote it, I promise you, but let's come up with something together, please.
Let me say something. I wholeheartedly agree with you. However, that would not solve the problem, because media is based, and probably you know this better than I, on provocative issues. If this panel here, we were sitting here tonight to praise ISIS and what happened in Paris, you would have seen this room filled with journalists. And they will go live, believe me, broadcast that live. But since we are condemning it, they have selective hearing. And they say always, I heard this from one of the journalists, that I'm not interested in the story of a man who was being bitten by a dog. But when a man bites the dog, that's what I'm interested in. Yeah, so.
Okay, I know that there's a gentleman back here that would like with the blue shirt. Oh, sorry. Okay, go ahead. I didn't notice.
I appreciate very much your suggestion, and I promise on behalf of the Shura Council of Southern California, which represents about 70 mosques, that we'll be very happy to host such a meeting. If we can be organized, we will be happy, and we bring the imams and the leaders of the Islamic centers together on that. So we would like to see that. That people of the media come and listen and take a message and give this message to the people, because this is very important. Because I mean, maybe 1 million people can do outside, it will not be as effective if the people of the media come together and present this message. So we would like to present this message. This is a great thing that you are suggested, and appreciate very much your suggestion. I would like to see that you and other people who are interested in that, let us sit together and talk about it and make a plan. Thank you.
Okay, so now that...
I think Pacifica is in it too, right?
So really quickly, I have some good news for you, Ruth. There was a story that was made into a book, and now Catherine Bigelow is going to make it into a Hollywood movie called The True American. And it's a story of this diminutive Bangladeshi gentleman who came over here to pursue the American dream from Bangladesh, was shot in the face in the days after 9/11 by a self-described white supremacist who was on a mission to kill as many Muslim or Arab-looking people as he could. He killed, I think, some non-Muslims who looked Muslim. Shot this guy in the face with a shotgun. The pellets entered his face. He was bleeding profusely. He played dead. The guy thought he died, and he left. He was caught and convicted and put on death row. This young man, over suffering, the consequences of that over many years, his life really fell apart, made a transformation, a spiritual transformation, made the pilgrimage to Mecca. He came back, and then he made it his life's mission to get that man saved from his death row, from the being put to death on death row. So he went and he made a huge campaign and he forgave that man. He met that man. The man called him his brother. He had a transformation of his own in prison. It's this story of two different Americas, the American dream and the American dream unfulfilled. And he came to learn of the tragic upbringing of this man. My point is, there's going to be a great movie that reframes the story of an American Muslim. And that's going to get Hollywood promotion, and hopefully it'll help transform a little bit of the narrative that's out there when it comes to Islam and Muslims. Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to go with the gentleman back there with the blue shirt.
Let me say something, because I know that you are not going to pick me up, but I'm going to break a little bit of rule here. I am from Caracas, Venezuela.
Okay.
I am basically, the situation in Venezuela. And I want to basically let you know that everybody is basically ignoring what is happening there. And let me tell you right now, so you guys that are on the panel that are studies, there is a major movement in Venezuela or in Latin America on basically creating more terrorists and supporting terrorists, using basically the oil. So you are basically worried about what happened in the Middle East, about what happened in Europe, about what happened in the United States. But there are major ignorance about what is happening and is targeting and is occurring in Latin America at this time.
Can you turn that into a question?
So basically, I can turn into the question, and the other thing is that the major leaders of major religions, and I belong to all of them because I believe that all the religions are based on love, okay? So I love, and I believe that most of the religions, basically the leaderships are basically focused on men. When the main problem of religions these days is that they are leaving ladies or women as the major key of the better world.
Okay.
And that's something that never should be left alone. What is your opinion about ladies being imams? What about your opinion about ladies being pastors? About the ladies being the one heading and directing and helping to build a better world?
I'll say something controversial. I think it's completely fine for women to lead prayer. That's actually kind of universally agreed upon, at least in the Sunni tradition. Women can lead prayer. They can serve as imams. The only debate is whether they could lead prayer over mixed gatherings. But there's going to be, in February, the first Women's Mosque of America, led by a woman imam. It's going to take place in Los Angeles. January 30th, sorry, January 30th. Ruth, of course, knows. So there is a movement where women can lead prayer. It's the wife of the prophet led prayer. So it's not something that is unheard of in the Islamic tradition. And there's even some reports in the Islamic tradition where he instructed a woman to lead prayer over mixed gathering. It's a controversial topic, but it's not completely unheard of.
We want women not just to lead the prayers and preach. We want them to be presidents and prime ministers. And in Turkey, they had prime minister women. In Bangladesh, in Pakistan. We do have in some progressive countries. And I love to see one day that we are ruled by women. I really like that because they are more lenient and probably would not pay taxes anymore.
Okay, yeah, I know that this gentleman here has really been waiting. Yes, he was cut off.
My
Go
first,
ahead.
I have two questions, if I may. The first question is, have you seen and have you shown the two imams, your congregants, the cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad? That's first question. My second question, are you really listening? It's very nice to talk here to a group of people who are like-minded, and yet I come from a small country where the Almighty decided to reside among His people. And it's a very controversial country which is being demonized. It's a country where for years we had what's called the Second Intifada, and Jews were killed in gatherings like this or in restaurants, etc. And people would come in and would shout Allahu Akbar, strap themselves to explosives, and not a single imam stood up and spoke against it until it happened in a Jordanian wedding. So when it happens to Jews, it seems to be acceptable. Not a single word of condemnation until it hits Muslims. And I think what you need to listen, and my question is, are you listening to what's happening? Because if you are, you would see that what's good against the Jews eventually comes and haunts Muslims and Christians. And if I may, just one correction, what Prime Minister Netanyahu said is the Jews have one nation, one state, a tiny state in the whole world, one Jewish state, and the Jews of France should feel free to come to Israel because that's the only place where they will be free, they will be safe, exactly like any minority. You quoted, you described the life of the Prophet Muhammad in the early stages. And you said something wonderful. I mean, what you described, the tenets that you described, is exactly what the Bible, what the Jewish Bible talks about. Hager, hayatom va'almana, the person who is orphan, the person who is widowed, and the person who is a foreigner among you. So it is taken somehow directly from our religion. My question again to the two imams, are you listening? Because this discussion should take place not after something happens. We should do it on a regular basis. And Pacifica, Attila is here. I want to thank the Pacifica Institute and those of us who come usually. Attila, you do something phenomenal. The fact that Rabbi Dr. Temkin and I drove here for an hour and a half is a testament to the appreciation that we hold. These discussions between the imams and maybe the clergy from our side, not the interfaith, the ones that are maybe we don't see eye to eye, we should sit together. And we should do it on a regular basis, not after terrorist attacks.
A short answer to your question, absolutely. We are listening, and our holy book never distinguishes between a Jewish soul or a Muslim soul or a Christian soul or an atheist soul. In chapter 5, God says, whoever kills an innocent human being as if he attacked and killed the entire humanity. And I'll bring it to your attention that 6 days ago in Paris, when the hostages were taken in a kosher store, it was a Muslim guy who protected the Jewish people from being murdered by the terrorists. So we do defend all the human beings without discrimination.
And that policemen as well, right? Yeah, who were being killed.
We also have to recognize that all human beings are equal because we are all created from the same parents, Adam and Eve. We should not be discriminating because of one group of people from one race, one part of the world, and other part of the world. Wherever human beings are killed, we should be all concerned about that. Whether they are in Africa, in Kashmir, in Gaza, in France, any country, any place, human beings, when they are attacked, we should all feel the same pain. We should also have to concern that. And this is very important in this small world in which we are living, where the news are reaching from one place to another. So we should not discriminate between people and people.
Okay, I can't take any more questions, unfortunately. I've received a signal, and so I apologize to all of you that have a question, and I've been told no more questions because our time is up. But I would like to personally, we'll thank the panel in a moment. I'd like to thank the audience, really. Many of our panelists said that they felt as though Muslim religious leaders are accused of not condemning violence, when in fact they're jumping up and down saying, you know, what ISIS is doing is wrong, what Boko Haram is doing is wrong, what Al-Qaeda is doing is absolutely wrong, and that people have selective hearing. You didn't have selective hearing. You came, and some of you drove very far to come and listen to our panelists, and so I'd like to take a moment just to clap for you. I'd like to give us all a chance to clap for the Pacifica Institute, Mr. Ilkar Yildiz, Mr. Attila Shafii, the Office of Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez, Bayan Claremont, and then of course our wonderful speakers, Dr. Siddiqui, Dr. Koja, Dr. Al-Fazwaini, Dr. Turk, we always love to cook for. It's all about the food, isn't it?
And a round of applause for Sophia.
All right, thank you. All right, I'd like to make one final announcement. So there'll be a luncheon forum, January 20th at 12:15. We'd love it if everybody here showed up again. It will be for the Huntington Beach Police Chief, Robert Handy, and he will come and speak on public service and civil rights. Everybody is welcome. And once again, I really thank you for coming and listening to us today. Have a wonderful evening.